Welcome to the Savvy Giving Gal podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Turilli-Smith, and I couldn't be more excited about today's episode. Joining me today are the founders of Impact Diablo Valley, Mindy Longo and Gina Halow. This incredible nonprofit is all about making transformational size grants to local organizations through a collective giving model inspired by the national organization Impact 100. Since their inception in 2018, they've raised over $860,000 for nonprofits in our community. What truly sets them apart is their focus on a family giving model, engaging families in philanthropy and fostering the next generation of givers. Mindy and Gina, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, I'm so excited you're here. I love the in unison.
Yes, of course. There might be a few of those.
I love it. I'm so thrilled that you're here. So let's start by what inspired you to start Impact Diablo Valley.
I'll take that one. It was around the time my two kids were in preschool and I was getting my head above water and thinking I had all this free time because, 3 hours of preschool is a lot of free time. And I wanted to give back. It's always been an important part of my life. And I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I was chatting with my mother-in-law who told me about a organization she was part of in her community, Impact 100. It was a women's giving group that pulled together their money to make transformational size grants while learning about amazing local nonprofits. I loved that idea, but if I was going to do something, I wanted it to involve my kids. And around that same time, I met Mindy. And actually, Melissa, I think we met at a Party and Kindness event at your house.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. I love that.
So her and I started chatting and hit it off, became quick friends. And she also liked the concept. And we decided to reach out to Impact 100's founder, Wendy Steele. And she was more than happy to have us start the very first family chapter, take the concepts, but involve the kids every step of the way. So that's really the beginning and inspiration of Impact.
I love it how you guys met and you shared like a common interest in giving and then decided to just go for it and do it. Can you share with our listeners what collective giving is and how it works? Because I think a lot of people don't understand what that actually is.
So collective giving is when you come together as a community and you pool your resources. So what that looks like for the Impact 100 model is each family donates $1,000 to create a $100,000 transformational sized grant. And the reason that collective giving is so important is because there are so many generous people that want to give, and you can write that check for $100, $500, every little bit counts and helps. But when we pool our resources, we really are able to make such a big impact for these local nonprofits that are really working hard for every single dollar that they are earning and getting to support their organization and the work that they do.
And I mean, I know how hard it is to fundraise as well. For all these nonprofits who fundraise, this type of grant can really make a really, really big difference in their organization. And so what is the power you've seen in pooling these resources?
The power is individually. $1,000 is a meaningful sum of money for a family to give. But $100,000 is a really significant amount of money for these local nonprofits. Red Cross, national organizations might be used to getting some of these larger size checks, but local nonprofits within your county are usually just keeping their heads above their desks trying to take day-to-day donations. So when they have the chance to get $100,000, they can really stop and think, how do we want to grow our organization? How do we want to impact and help more people in the community? Is there a capital expenditure that we need to execute on, an infrastructure change? So it's a significant amount of money, and it's amazing that this idea of collective giving can really help fund that.
So I think to be specific around the $100,000 to a local nonprofit, what have we funded? We have funded brand new programs that they wouldn't be able to launch if they didn't have something like a very large grant. So our very first grant went to start school food pantries in 3 schools that had free, 95% of the population was on free lunch, the free lunch program in the state. And so these are low income schools. These are kids that maybe didn't always know where their next meal was going to come from. And the organization White Pony Express that actually received our very first grant, they were looking to expand and to do something new. But in order to do that, you really do have to have seed funding. And these $100,000 unrestricted grants are really hard to come across. So even if there are other grants out there for these local nonprofits, a lot of times they come with a lot of limitations, especially if they come from the government or they come from other organizations where you can use it for this particular program, but not that. You can use it in this way, but you can't include X, Y, or Z. And so these transformational $100,000 grants that we provide are really unrestricted grants. And we allow these organizations to really start something new that can help transform the community.
So how do you pick who gets the grants? I mean, I can imagine, just because I've been in the nonprofit sector for so long, how so many of the nonprofits around us would want to receive this. So can you share with our listeners how you do that?
It's a hard process for sure. So anyone in Impact Diablo Valley can be on our grants committee. And in June, we start receiving applications. We get about 20 to 25 applications a year. And how do we get those applicants? We get them from our members, from exposure with podcasts like this, or through our community foundation. And when our committee comes together, we have a pretty rigorous vetting process. We look at the organizational strength, their financials over the last few years, and we're looking to fund an impact project. So we're not looking to fund day-to-day operations. We want the organization to think outside the box and what new program or infrastructure change they want to do. And then our committee sits down, and it is a hard process because when those few rise to the top, you want all of these organizations to get that $100,000. And our committee votes on the final 3 that we present to our membership. And so one of the beautiful things about this organization is every family gets 1 vote towards the final nonprofit winner. And when these nonprofits are presenting to our children and to our families, the runners-up also get a smaller community grant because at that point, they're all worthy. It's a hard decision to make. And it makes us realize that this work of collective giving and giving out large grants is really important in the community we're giving.
I mean, so why did you decide for it to be a family giving model? Because I absolutely love that concept. And I think that really raising the next generation of givers is such an important job. And we all have a responsibility to do that. So can you kind of talk through it with me, why that was so important to you guys?
I mean, I think that Gina mentioned like one of the things, I think it was also, there was a piece of it that was timing. So when we were initially inspired, we were young moms with young families, and this was going to be part of our time and how we dedicated our time. And so including our kids in the process felt so natural, but also this is a little bit of a different learning model for children philanthropically because we talk a lot about donating your time. There's volunteer opportunities. Kids are exposed to that, right? Your talents, whether you're a really good artist and you can paint a mural for a nonprofit or a family or donate artwork, et cetera. People have all these talents that they can use to give back. But very often kids are not exposed to donating money. And the financial conversation around that with your children is really powerful. And it's important to plant that seed to kids, right? To say, if you're able and can afford to give back financially, you should. And we want to make you empowered to feel a part of this conversation through Impact Diablo Valley.
Yeah, I love that they're part of the decision making. You know, I love that you've included them in the decision making and with their parents. So like they're doing it as a unit. And I just think that's so important because it really does open the door to a lot of great, great conversations, especially in an affluent community like this. Let's just be honest. Like,
Absolutely.
We are so blessed to live where we live in this community. And when I had my 2 young boys, I was happy to be raising them here, but I also wanted them to see that outside this community, there's hardship. And I want to raise empathetic young boys that can go out and be givers in this community. And if we can help other families bring that conversation of philanthropy to the dinner table, I mean, that's what Impact is here to do, is to help educate families and their kids about the needs in the community while making these transformational grants.
And it's fun to have the kids, like, both of my kids oftentimes gravitate towards different organizations every year.
Yep.
And it's fun to hear their passion as to why one should receive this year's Impact grant versus the other one. And just to get their brains thinking in that way, it's such a powerful conversation to have as a family. And it sticks with them for sure. I know Gina.
Well, it sticks with one of my kids. The other one, let's just be honest, 7 years. He's still, hopefully one of these days giving will click.
Yes.
But my older son, he's very interested in learning about all the organizations that have applied. And he has such a big heart. There was one year when a homeless organization that was helping people that were unsheltered get back on their feet didn't win. And he came out and was so disappointed that they didn't win the $100,000. And I said, well, buddy, like, they still got some money. And he's like, well, I want to help them more. So he spearheaded a shoe drive for the homeless shelter. So I love that there's this like ripple effect of continuing to have this giving spirit.
Yeah, it empowers them. I really feel like when my kids would choose what organization they would give to for their parties, obviously I made them do it in the beginning and then they just got used to doing it and wanted to do it on their own. It really empowered them to think about what they care about. And clearly your son really, really found a passion in the homeless and wanted to help them. And that will stay with him for his whole life. And even your younger son, I feel as though, that even in the years to come, he's going to look back and maybe not now it's apparent, but when he's an adult and he's in his community, he's going to say, you know what, that really made an impact in my life. I want to give that to my kids.
I'm hoping so.
No,
Melissa.
I believe
I'm hoping
it.
so.
Absolutely.
I mean, now, and this is going to be part of his
do believe it.
DNA going forward.
I think community is such an important part of life and being part of a community. And, with this epidemic of loneliness in America that just keeps on getting worse, having a community that you've brought together around giving, to me, is just the most spectacular thing. Can you talk about the importance of community?
I think we couldn't do this without our community. And it's twofold, right? It's giving people an opportunity to join something like Impact Diablo Valley, but people also have to have the heart and the generosity to want to be a part of that community. So I give so much credit to all the people that are part of Impact because they have such huge, generous hearts and they're looking for ways to give back with their family. And this is one of the ways that they want to give back as a family. And so we have really, luckily, developed a community full of wonderful families that want to continue to give back year over year and make a difference. And I think when you're walking, it does bring people together. I may not know someone as well, and they may see me and stop me and be like, hey, we joined Impact this year, and vice versa. I'll meet new people. And it's just this common link that brings you together. And then they'll say something like, I was so excited to learn about this organization, right? And so there's just this instant community that has happened as a part of Impact. And it's just full of wonderful, wonderful families and people that are always looking to be generous and looking to learn about local nonprofits here.
Yeah, I would say there's this energy that comes from bringing like-minded families together and creating even bigger energy when you bring community. It's like harnessing this power of good when you bring like-minded people who want to give back. We're just that much more powerful when we come together and work as a team versus working alone.
And I really feel like you can feel that in your organization, that these 100 or more people are a team, and they're a team working for good in our community. And because the grants are given within 20 minutes of where we live, I feel like that also is such an impactful thing for these families to see and these children to see, because they're not giving a grant that's going overseas, which is still lovely. But this is a grant that's given to kids or people that are within their county.
Within their county, and also 100% of that $1,000 is going directly out into the community. It's not going towards a bottom line. It's going towards a specific project or program. And so it's really amazing when our families can say, hey, we helped thousands of people in these 3 schools get food for a year, or we helped these women and children get back up on their feet by providing them vehicles at the shelter that they're at. So it's really you can connect directly to who you're helping. And I think for kids especially, they kind of link into that. It's not we're just helping this organization. They can specifically see exactly what they're doing and who they're helping.
Yeah, I think that's super important.
And we talked a little bit about like the ripple effect. And one thing that we didn't think about when we started this organization, but again, it brings together the idea of generous community, and exactly what Gina just said is our families then sometimes pick up projects and they want to do more. So they'll have, we have had several instances where a member has fallen in love with a project and they didn't get the $100,000 grant. They got one of the community grants, which again, they can be anywhere from $20,000 to $25,000. It's still a lot of money, but they want to do more. They want to make sure that that project or that program or initiative happens. And they'll do additional fundraising on the side, whether it's through work or whether they want to write a bigger personal check. There's this ripple effect that really has happened within the community. And it's been so amazing to watch, because it was something that when we started this, I know I didn't even think about.
It was one of my goosebump moments.
Yeah.
I remember.
I have goosebumps right now thinking about it.
We have our annual event every November. And when we had these few families want to give even more, I was like, wow, there really is this positive power of giving. And it's just this ripple effect, it's this natural ripple effect where there's so many additional things that are happening as a result of kind of coming together to give this one grant.
I want to commend you both too, because it really takes that pebble. You guys are like the pebble that creates that ripple effect, and it's a lot to take on at first. You're young moms, you have a passion for giving, but you took the initiative to say, okay, we're going to make this happen and we're just going to jump in and do that. Do you think that maybe the way you were raised and maybe the things you did giving as a child created that giving spirit within you? Like, what was that moment that you said, no, this is a big part of my life. I want to make it a big part of my kids' lives?
I mean, I think for me, I grew up in a very philanthropic household, meaning my mom volunteered her time all the time. And she also would sign us up to volunteer as a family. And my dad, it was always kind of this underlying idea that we gave to organizations financially, but that was never really talked about, because finances for me and my home growing up, it was more of something the adults handled and not something that the kids handled as much. And so, but the idea of giving overall was really powerful and impactful. And then as I grew up and I had my own instances and choices, I had a really profound moment at Penn State where I went to school, and I worked on a very large student-run philanthropy, and it benefited kids with cancer. And it changed my life, and it really planted all the seeds that I think landed me in the position to have the passion and to be able to do something like Impact Diablo Valley with Gina.
My story is a little bit similar. I grew up in a philanthropic household. I was part of National Charity League. It was a mother-daughter organization. So I started in middle school volunteering a lot on the weekends with my family. And I was inspired after kind of working in the hospital for several months on the weekends and seeing some of the kids who were really sick and just wanting that to be more of like a part of my day-to-day. And I married someone who fortunately was also pretty philanthropic, and he's inspired me to want to give back even more. So when you have two families that have grown up, it just seemed natural that we were going to bring kids into this world and help create, philanthropic young boys as well.
Feeling good inside and out is so important to me, and that's why I love shopping eCosmetics. They offer the best in beauty from all of the top brands with great prices, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guaranteed. It's my go-to for everything beauty. Head over to ecosmetics.com and use my code SAVVY25, that's SAVVY25 at checkout to get 25% off your purchase. I appreciate you sharing that because it proves to the listeners that, what you do as a young parent really has a profound effect, not only now, but when your children live in communities in the future and what they decide to do and what sparks that little bit of, or big, in your case, giving spirit, and why we need to be continuing to find places and opportunities like Impact Diablo Valley where we can expose our kids. So
I think as parents, when we're in this, well-to-do community, it's an obligation that we have to help teach our kids the importance of kind of thinking outside of ourselves and giving back to others. So I feel like it's a kind of a duty and an obligation on us as parents to kind of help raise these nice, empathetic, giving young kids.
I do too, actually. So I really actually feel that way too. Gina, I feel like it's my responsibility as a parent. I think it should be everyone's responsibility as a parent because there's so much more to it than just giving. There's empathy, there's compassion. There's just looking outside of the materialism. There's just so many different amazing qualities that we have to teach our kids that come out of philanthropy. So I would say that every parent should make it a priority to find ways, even if they can't give $1,000, to find ways where they can get involved in an organization, but especially in a community like this, most people have $1,000, and what an amazing year they would have to go through all of these different, steps that you guys take. So can you take us through the steps that a family goes through when they join Impact?
Sure. Do you want me to start with that, Mindy?
Go for it, Gina.
So when a family comes and is interested in joining Impact Diablo Valley, we have our cycle of giving, which is from the beginning of the year till May, and then we announce the pool of money that we have for the year. And people are creative on how they give $1,000. It could be a grandparent generational giving. We've had families that want their kids involved every step of the way, and their kids are doing lemonade stands to help pool money to get to $1,000.
Cool. Yeah.
And we also have corporate matches. So you can give $500 and a $500 corporate match. But Wendy Steele, the founder of Impact 100, said when you give $1,000, that's a stop and think gift. That's not just a $100 check you're going to write. It's you want to stop and feel connected to the organization. And fortunately, in this community, it's a big gift, but a lot of people can do it. And that's how we've been able to raise more than $100,000 year after year. But people are feeling connected to that gift. And so that's why that was the number we've been given and continue to raise. And so people are creative with how they get there. And once they give that money, we have the application process, which we touched on earlier. Applications come in. anybody can be on our grants committee and help review those applications. But what happens as like a membership is every October we come together for a children's presentation. And that's kind of really the heart and soul, I feel like, of our organization. It's a really special day where the final 3 nonprofits present to kids in an elementary age appropriate way on what does it mean to be homeless or food insecure or foster youth. And kids bring $1 of their own money to vote on where they want that grant to go. So it's kind of a symbolized dollar vote. And then parents come together in November and they hear again from the 3 finalists, and every family gets 1 vote. So while there's been this grants committee that's been involved, of the 130 plus families we have, you don't know who's going to win that night. And it's a really exciting.
Yeah, it's
There's
exciting.
a lot of energy there in the room. And it's a beautiful thing to see when people come together. You have different perspectives, different ideas on who to fund, and you have some seasoned philanthropists, some newer philanthropists that haven't written $1,000 checks before. So it's this great synergy that comes together. You're harnessing this group of givers and doing good here in our local community.
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing like the process, because I remember our first kids event that the kids went to, and that is the most energy. I mean, the adult one is amazing. That night is fantastic. It's adult, but I was like, how are they going to get these kids to sit here, all these kids to sit here and not freak out and like yell and scream? And they all just sit wide-eyed. Like they really want to understand and see and learn. And I guess that surprised me at first. And also in a good way. I was really, really thrilled that
I think it surprised us.
Yeah,
I mean,
good.
it's,
it's so surprised.
We don't have like elementary school teacher backgrounds, right? And the nonprofits that we work with don't necessarily either.
Right.
But I think it's a testament to how much kids are willing to learn when you give them the opportunity. And when it's something that feels like a big serious topic, like unsheltered or being a foster youth and what that means. And they start to listen and they absorb. Kids really do, I think, absorb some of these big concepts, even when they're young. And so I think that's why you can get their attention on some of it, right? They want to learn, and I think they know after hearing all of that, I think they can feel more grateful for their circumstances and the homes that they have. And I think that they want to know that there is a big world out there, and there's a lot of big topics that come with being in the big world, right?
Yeah, I agree. And I think even more than ever, our kids are exposed to a lot of news. They do know all the pain and suffering in the world. And I think they feel helpless a lot of times on how they can make an impact on that. But when they're in that room, I think they do process, okay, this is the way that I'm going to make a positive impact in my little world. Hey, travel lovers, it's Melissa. Traveling with my family to explore new cultures brings me so much joy. And all business class travel can make it even better with their top-notch personalized service. Use promo code SAVVY, that's SAVVY, to get complimentary Black Car Airport transfers. All business class travel makes it easy to focus on what really matters, cherished memories. Visit allbusinessclass.com and start planning your next incredible journey. I want to talk about your teen board, your teen advisory board, because I also think the kids look wide-eyed at all these amazing teenagers up there. So can we talk about why you decided that was an important part of your organization as well?
I think we wanted to see, we came up with this idea early on that we would have kids working the kids event, like big kids. And it was like kids leading kids. And really young kids looking up to older kids is so powerful. And it just helps build even more of the message that we're trying to send, which is if you can give back as a family, as a person, as an adult, you should. And there are several ways to do that. And so we developed the teen board because as our organization was maturing, kids were also maturing.
Yes.
And they wanted to take on these leadership positions in the organization. And it's been so rewarding because teens are amazing, right? I think amazing. Sometimes teens get a bad rap because they're going through all the things that are super normal in the teen world. But really our teen leaders are standing in front of, 100 to 200 people and they're presenting and they are organizing and they are leading. And when they stand in front of all those little kids, and whether they're presenting or they're helping to organize or play games, these kids love it. These little kids love it. And then they look up to somebody and they're like, well, when I'm older, I want to be on the teen board. So I think the teen board has been a huge addition for us because we get to highlight our teen leaders that are part of our families and our members.
Yeah. We also started a mini teen grant, and we had $1,000 last year. This year they get to give away $4,000, but my kids aren't quite teens yet, but it's really fun to sit in the group with the teenagers and hear them talk about a few different organizations and what their opinions are and their thoughts on who they want to give that check to. So it's really empowering them and teaching them about the grant making process as well.
And you're giving them a voice. I also agree that teens don't get enough credit. I think we often look at all the crazy things that they're doing instead of focusing on all the amazing things they're capable of doing and that they are doing. And so I think when you as adults are giving them a platform and giving them a voice, like they will rise up to the occasion. Like they will.
Absolutely. And they are.
Yes. I mean, they are not going to let you down. And, they see you up on that stage creating this organization and, they want to aspire to be like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that that's part of it. Like you're absolutely right. If given the opportunity, they want to have a voice, and they're so open, right? As we get older and become more adults, I think that sometimes we form all of our opinions because we've had so much life experiences. None of those things are bad, right? But you see these teens and they read through these grants, and what they gravitate towards is just amazing. And the questions that they have and how they want to make their impact is different. So it's neat to see.
And it may be a little bit too is, they go through all these difficulties as teens, and maybe it kind of reminds them that their difficulties, although they're important, that there really is a big world out there with a lot of pain, and maybe it helps them see their life in a different perspective, or puts their problems maybe in a different perspective.
Absolutely.
I'm going to share this one story. So we're not a volunteer first organization. We focus more on the financial giving piece, but every spring we offer a couple family service days to kind of make it come full circle with what they learned about in the fall. And we were at a local shelter, doing a gardening day this spring. And I had some teenagers that were with me. And moving into the shelter that day was a young mom with a toddler. She couldn't be more than early 20s. And one of the teens was wearing our local high school t-shirt, and the mom commented on it. Hey, I went to that high school too. And his face kind of dropped
right now. Yes.
And he looked at me and he was like, how did she get here? How is this young mom at a unsheltered place in 20 minutes from where we live? And it just was sort of this aha moment for these kids, wow, this is right in our backyard. And I felt like it was a really powerful moment for these kids, learning that you can fall not too far, from home and need help to get back up.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great story, because I think the kids around here sometimes take for granted that they're always going to have all the things that they have, and they're always going to have kind of a soft landing pad. And that's not always the case, And so giving them the exposure to all the different things in the world that happen, like this young mom. And thank God there are places like that, because I know, and I'm trusting that she is going to make it through and find her way. But people need help. And I think that when they see that and they can be the kind of help that these people need, it really is an aha moment for them.
It's funny because literally was going to say the exact same story as you started to think it. I'm like, we need to tell the story of the, but I do think it's really important that people are people, and your circumstances don't define who you are. And at any moment in time, you may be the person that needs to be on the receiving end. So when you're not that person, you should be helping. Yes. And that's really how it is. It's not about anything else. And I think that was a moment where one of our teens got to learn people are people, and she was on the receiving end, but she wasn't always, and she won't be forever. Right. Nope. And this young mom will hopefully find her path and be able to help others along the way too.
Hey friends, it's Melissa. I want to talk to you about something that has been life-changing for me, therapy. I've personally used therapy, and I can tell you firsthand how powerful it is to have someone in your corner guiding you through life's challenges. That's why I'm proud that today's sponsor is BetterHelp, an online therapy service that makes it easy to get the help you or your family needs from the comfort of your own home. Whether you're struggling with stress, anxiety, or just need someone to talk to, BetterHelp is here for you. And for listeners of the Savvy Giving Gal podcast, you'll get 10% off your first month of therapy when you use our link in the description. Take that step towards a healthier you, because you're worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/savvy to get started today. I could literally talk to you guys all day. I love this conversation so much. But at the end of each episode, I ask my guests these 3 questions, and I'm going to ask you both the questions. So first, Mindy, what does it mean to you to be a community change maker?
I think that's such a compliment, and I appreciate that you said that. But for me, I think that there are so many talented community change makers, and my passion for giving back is one of the ways that I think I can share with our community. So that's what it means to me. It means that people see that might be one of my strengths, just like I can see so many strengths in so many of our other community change makers. And I want to share that passion for giving back with others.
Yes. And you can feel that. It's palpable. I could feel it, with both of you, but Mindy's so passionate. She's so passionate. Gina, what does it mean to you to be a community change maker?
I think about community change making as harnessing the power of bringing people together in our community to do something good, do something greater than yourself. And when I think about that, there's so many amazing people here that are doing great work in this community. And I feel like you're so kind to include us here today. Yep. I feel like I'm doing just a small piece of helping move the community in the right direction. But I am so thankful that we have an amazing giving group within our community, and that we can come together and harness that power for good.
I agree. I'm so blessed that you guys are here today. And I do feel so lucky that we do collaborate a lot. Like, I feel like the change makers in this community, the philanthropists, business owners, passion projects, whatever it is, the women around me are always rallying me, always collaborating with me. And it doesn't work, similar to your model, it doesn't work if we don't all come together for a common good. And that's to just lift each other up and lift up those who need our help. And so I really feel so blessed that we all live here, and I'm able to witness firsthand what you guys have been up to.
Thank you.
So sweet.
Second, Mindy, how has giving back positively impacted mentally, emotionally, or physically your health?
Oh, I think it helps every aspect of your health, because giving back is always it's not even just about feeling good. It's about having gratitude when you wake up every day. You're reminded of the things that you have, whether it's mental, physical, emotional, that you can kind of harness that and move that forward, give back to others. And it does, we are built to give back to others. That's why when we do it, we feel good.
Yeah.
And I think that spiritually and emotionally, that is part of our calling in life and what we're meant to do. And so I think it impacts every part of your health because we are built to give back.
Yeah, I agree. I really, really feel like you can do all of the self-care. You can sleep, you can have nutrition, you can have movement, but really that missing piece to good health is giving back and feeling like you're making a difference in the lives of other people. So Gina, how has giving back positively impacted your mental, emotional, and physical health?
Similarly, all for the positive. I'm sure you both know, but did you know when you give back, it releases dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin in your brain? So it's physically proven that there is good and physical effects that come when you give back. And I think that giving back just connects you. It grounds you. It gives you gratitude. I feel so blessed to get to do this work, and I'm constantly inspired and amazed by the wonderful nonprofits in our area and this wonderful giving group that we are able to meet and be part of this community. So it's all for the positive, and it physically is proven that.
Yes. I always say I'm getting high on helping people.
It's true.
Getting high today. And lastly, can you suggest one small act of kindness our listeners can incorporate in their daily lives?
I think one thing that I have been trying to do lately is if I see something that I like, so that means like giving compliments, you say it out loud. And I know that that might sound like a really small act of kindness, but I think that we are living in a time when people hold back from complimenting others. There's a lot more criticism kind of floating out there, and compliments make everybody feel good. It changes your day when a stranger says something nice to you, and it's something that I've actively been working on. So if I see something that I like, I try to communicate it out loud. You get a big smile out of people, and I bet you change a little bit of their day.
And I think back to the teens, I think sometimes the life is going by so fast that, and it might feel weird sometimes, and Noah hates it when I do this, but I love complimenting the kids. Like, I really feel like a small compliment, what they're wearing, how'd they do at school that day? Oh, you did well, great. You're so smart. Or, I don't know. It
builds their confidence. It builds everybody's confidence, right? And there's just a lot of negative things out there. So that's something I'm actively working on.
I love it. Okay, Gina, can you suggest one small act of kindness our listeners can incorporate in their daily lives?
I would like to add, when you're out in the world going about your day-to-day, to say hi to somebody, especially like the grocer or people that are helping you, and make eye contact. Like, how are you doing? How is your day? I think when you make eye contact, you're more connecting with that person, and especially those that are helping us in the day-to-day world. I think you make them feel good. It might bring a smile to their day. And I think it's an example that we should be modeling for our kids, is just kindness and generosity to all of those around us. And how hard is it to say hi to somebody? How are you doing? But when you really look them in the eye, I think that's a little bit more meaningful.
I agree. I'm crazy about this with my kids. Like, if I'm crazy about it. I'm just like, you need to look them straight in the eye.
I am crazy about it too. Yeah, they still haven't gotten it, but I'm trying.
I think it is one of those things as a mother, we have to repeat over and over and over again until they're in college or an adult or what have you. And I am committed to repeating it over and over and over and over again, because I actually think it is super important. And it sometimes can be uncomfortable when it's a stranger, but it changes the game.
Like, people feel seen when you look at them in the eyes. Like, people feel seen when you smile. Like, that's what it's all about. It's just about little connections. And I think those are the smallest connections that make a big difference.
Okay, ladies, finally, where can people find Impact Diablo Valley, and how can they get involved in your organization?
So this is perfect timing because we're kicking off our next year, our 2025 grant cycle. And so people can find us online at www.impactdiablovalley.org. They can find us on Instagram with Impact Diablo Valley. And if you're in the community and know who Gina or I are, or know somebody that's a member, you can reach out to anybody and connect them to us. And we would happily tell anybody kind of all the different steps and ways that we've covered today on how to join our community.
And if you're in another community but interested in this type of giving model, reach out to us and we'd be happy to share our story and have you replicate that in your community.
I'd love to share my top 3 takeaways from this informative conversation with Mindy and Gina. First, volunteering as a family is a powerful way to teach values like empathy and teamwork while making a meaningful impact. Start with small, age-appropriate activities like organizing a neighborhood cleanup or donating toys. Get involved with Impact Diablo Valley. Don't forget to take time afterwards to reflect on your experience together. Second, collective giving amplifies impact by pooling resources with others, allowing you to create lasting change. Together, these efforts build strong connections and ripple effects of positivity. And lastly, consider organizing with the women in your neighborhood to create a network for good. Plan group activities like charity drives, meal trains, or volunteering days to tackle local needs. Feeling part of a community has immense health benefits. Mindy and Gina, thank you so much for being here. Honestly, your testament today is just like everything you do is just so incredible and a true testament to the kindness and collaboration you guys have in our community.
Thank you so much for having us. This was wonderful. And we are so excited for you as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're such a model of the giving spirit. And so thank you for including us here today.
I loved it. I loved having you ladies.
Thank you.
Coming to fill up my cup.
Thank you for listening to the show. I hope it sparks a desire in you to dedicate even a small slice of your life to uplifting others. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow me on Instagram at SavvyGivingGal. You can also visit my website at SavvyGivingGal.com. Let's spread positivity together.